a step up in transition offense and defense and trying to better maintain control and possession through that middle third, which of course is so critical to playing the ball forward into the offensive end.
So for the SMU Mustangs, the three across the back will be a little bit of a different attack in today's game, and an attack coming from the back as well, as Sophie King can't hold this one. But the Mustangs have lost some defensive prowess here recently, and that includes Mayu Inakawa, as you mentioned, and also missing a holding midfielder in this one in Mackenzie Rudden. They're trying to give her a day off to get completely fit. And so starting Lydia Ungashik and Nanami Hata as those holding mids in this match.
Yeah, and Lydia Ungashik, I think, is a really nice addition to this team. And we've seen through a couple of the previous games early at the start of the season, a lot of times you have a freshman who gets into the lineup and sometimes picks up only some responsibilities right away. But she has been really, really good at backtracking from her midfield spot and helping out in the defensive end. So the way she's lined up now, you see her on the ball right there. The way she's lined up now, she's almost like an extra center back in front of Hampton. So she will have a lot of defensive responsibility from her midfield role.
1.5 minutes gone in this match as Abby Hampton, the senior, moving back into the starting lineup this season after starting most of her freshman year, moves it across midfield. For the Little Rock Trojans, they are trying to figure out things offensively this season. They've only scored 1 goal in the first 3 matches of the season. Now in there, they did have a very quality draw on the road where they played toe-to-toe with Arizona State and came out with a draw 0-0. However, you can't win games if you don't score goals, and right now the Trojans are having a tough time figuring out where those goals are going to come from.
Right. I kind of murdered the math in the pregame where I said 9 goals for SMU. SMU's had 15 goals in 4 games, and as you said, Little Rock has had 1. But talking to Kelly Farrell during the week leading up to this, she said that she's got several offensive players who she feels are sort of right on the cusp of breaking through. She's very confident in the system they play, and the chances have been close. She just needs to get the first couple to break through, and obviously hoping that will open things up for the Little Rock offense going forward.
Taking this set piece for Little Rock will be Sherry Saad, the center back. Takes it to the top of the 18 where it is headed away by SMU, and a chance for the Mustangs to start out with it as Sammy Nieves tries to spring Eliana Salama, but it's just out in front of her. Nieves has been a wonder, in great form at an attacking mid spot. And meanwhile, we talked about Eliana Salama right off the top. What a good season she's had. Those two have been an excellent combination.
Yeah, Eliana Salama has been really quite an addition. In her first couple of years, she has shown flashes of what she can do. She arrived as a freshman with a lot of skill. That's never been in question. But you can see her growing as a player. You can see her reading defenses better. And she talked after the SFA game a few nights ago about how she's now sort of the grizzled veteran of the offense. And so she has taken on more of a leadership role, trying to help get the young players around her organized. And I think that's really helped her as well.
No doubt it has, as the SMU Mustangs have really relied on this player. Number 9, Eliana Salama, cutting it on the left side, trying to flick it out in front. And it is played away for a corner kick for the SMU Mustangs right off the bat. Salama, out of nowhere it seems, can make a run.
Yeah, there are a lot of players who can run, and Eliana Salama definitely is one of those. But one thing that she does is she accelerates so quickly that when she lines up next to a defender or even splits a couple of defenders, she can go from 0 to 60 in a hurry.
Hartman's shot cleared off the line, may have been a little bit wide anyway, and it'll go for a throw-in, but SMU getting an early chance. SMU in the first 2 games of the season was averaging almost 30 shots a match as they won their first 2 matchups this year with Northwestern State and Texas Southern before dropping a 6-3 decision at the hands of Texas. Last time out, they took down Stephen F. Austin by a 3-2 score.
Yeah, the Ponies have been willing to pull the trigger from anywhere and everywhere through 4 games.
Ungashik did not get away with this shoulder charge against the other holding mid, and Amaya Arias. Arias out of Downey, California, goes down.
Ungashik didn't complain or say anything to referee Brad Church, but several of the volunteer refs sitting on that SMU bench certainly disagreed with the call, as it looked like Ungashik got a pretty legitimate shoulder charge, kept her arm down, kept her elbow down, but the whistle did blow.
Salama tried to touch it to Nieves, and she's able to poke it back. SMU looking for a through ball. Nieves in the direction of Liz Eddy, and stumbling for a moment was Peyton Urban, but she's able to find her footing and clear it out past the midline.
And that play was more difficult for Peyton Urban than it looked, because she was right at the top of the 18, and she saw Liz Eddy coming in, the Mustangs' right wing, and there was that momentary delay as she tried to decide, do I play this? Do I step back and try to scoop it up? She thought better of it and took 2 steps out beyond that 18-yard line at the top of the box and cleared it out of the back end.
So Little Rock has been preparing for one thing coming into this match, and that is for SMU to have a shape where they have 4 across the back and then 3 across the midfield, 3 across the front. This is a little bit different here today, and they're playing 2 attacking midfielders. How might that shock Little Rock early, and what do they need to do to play through it, as we see Abby Smith run through a ball and try to make a run? And I'll let you go ahead and answer that as Sierra Cotillard is able to step onto it. But a little bit more of an offensive attack for SMU, an offensive shape in this one.
Yeah, by bringing a second offensive midfielder forward, Little Rock lined up with 5 across the back, and now that basically gives one-to-one matchups with the 5 defenders against SMU's 3 forwards and 2 offensive midfielders. So they can match up just like that. Everybody has their own responsibility on one player. If you get a lot of crossing, overlapping runs, that can get a little bit chaotic in the back. So maybe if the Mustangs get a goal and are consistently threatening, you may see Little Rock pull back another midfielder to try to get a 6-5 advantage in the back end and clear up some of that space by having 1 extra body.
There's the extra attacking midfielder in this one, in Lou Brousseau, the junior, transfer from Iowa Western Community College, grew up in Rennes, France, and was a junior college All-American before transferring in to SMU. Has a goal so far this season and was just behind the defense on that play.
She's been a nice addition for Nicole Nelson's squad here. She's very, very comfortable on the ball, doesn't seem fazed by much of anything that the opponents have thrown at SMU so far, and she's terrific on set pieces, including as a left-footed option on those set pieces.
What a pass down to Liz Eddy. Eddy is in, however, she has her shot blocked by Graber, who comes back to save the day. Caitlin Graber, as Little Rock head coach Kelly Farrell says she wishes she had 11 of her, and you can see why as she scrambles back to make that defensive play.
Yeah, Grable, as we discussed in the pregame, very positionally smart, very tactically sound, and obviously has some speed as well, as she caught Liz Eddy as Eddy was trying to get that shot away. Terrific play by Caitlin Graber, excuse me.
SMU back on the ball as Eddy serves one in to the top of the goal, and just making sure it went over was Peyton Urban for another corner kick for the SMU Mustangs. There is a little bit of wind today coming out of the southeast, and so this ball had some pace behind it thanks to the wind at 10-20.
And I think you're right. I think that wind did impact it. You see the flag in front of Moody Coliseum there is blowing pretty well, and I think that ball carried maybe a little bit more than Peyton Urban thought it might be.
So with Brousseau and Nieves on the field at the same time, we wondered who might take corners, and it's Brousseau who's going to strike this with the inside of her left foot. She can serve with either foot, we've seen so far this season. Eddy posting up right in front of the keeper inside the box, but instead it goes outside to Nieves. Nieves one touch and a light serve at the top of the 18 that's cleared pretty sharply by Little Rock, and eventually Megan Rogan is able to steer it up the field as the Trojans look for some offense. They are coming off just 1 goal over their first 3 matches. Meanwhile, the SMU Mustangs are a top 12 team in the nation when it comes to scoring at almost 4 goals a game.
That was Eliana Salama backtracking and chasing that ball down. Salama's been playing at left wing for much of the start of this game, and she was over on the right side helping back. You see Sammy Nieves going forward, and what that does is that's an indication of just how fluid the Mustangs are playing this year. We talked about 3 forwards and a couple of attacking midfielders, and in a way, you could almost call them just 5 attacking players. They are interchangeable in a lot of ways. Obviously, they can't all do everything that each other can do. Everybody has her own strengths and weaknesses, but the Mustangs do have several versatile players who can run on different sides, who can shoot with both feet, who can create chances, and there's a lot of speed up front.
There's the first chance for Little Rock on that take toward the goal by Abby Smith. Hartman comes over to force a corner.
Yeah, nice push into the offensive end for Little Rock. And, you know, we're starting this game an hour earlier than most evening games at SMU start. It started at 6. So much of the field, almost all of the field, is still bathed in sunlight. In this case, it's the corner kick is coming into the sun.
Here's shot on the corner. It is punched out by Cotillard, but backed up by Serenity Fake. Fake tries to serve it back in and off the head of McKenna Turner, who tries to chase it down and can't save it off the line.
Yeah, I think Sierra Cotillard was a little bit rattled on that. That looked like a ball that normally she would come out and catch cleanly, but she collided or got a hip check in there, I guess, against Abby Smith. And Smith ended up hitting the deck, and Cotillard looked up for a half a second as if to say, is there going to be a whistle blown there? You know, anytime there's contact with a goalkeeper, it's understandable to look for a whistle at least. And when she realized that it wasn't blown by Brad Church, she had to play the ball, obviously. And so she punched it free rather than catching it cleanly.
SMU trying to march it across center. Hartman with a vertical ball that is just wide of the intended target, and Sammy Nieves. How has SMU tried to attack in this new shape? It does seem like a lot of verticality so far.
It does, which you might not assume right away when you're playing against a team with playing 5 across the back. If they really do stretch 5 across the back, that doesn't leave a lot of lanes to pass through. But you can always go over the top, and when you have a team like SMU that has so much speed in the front third, you know, Liz Eddy can run, Sammy Nieves can run, Eliana Salama can run. There are ways, even if it's crowded across that back line, and as soon as I say that, of course, a pass on the ground gets picked off. But
and Brousseau goes down, a foul coming against Little Rock here.
And this is in that nice danger zone. If you're the Little Rock defense, this is going to be, depending on where they line it up, 25, 30 yards out. Not a range from which Lou Brousseau is probably going to shoot, but she is very good on these set pieces and places the ball very well. So you've got 8 blue jerseys lined up across the top of that 18. So as soon as she approaches the ball, we're going to see a jailbreak and see where Lou Brousseau goes with it.
Brousseau again with her left, chips it over that front line in the direction of Hartman with eyes on the LSU transfer, but it sails over her head and into touch.
Yeah, but it looked like that is an opportunity they might, a play they might try again if they get another restart in the same general distance, because Hartman and Ungashik both got behind the Little Rock defense, and as well as Lou Brousseau can place the ball, if she can drop one a little closer, that may set up a nice shot on goal for SMU.
Salama running into Sod and kind of lost where the ball was, but Byers comes back to contain it. Salama trying to make a run toward the end line. It's out in front of her, chips it out in front, and that stab made by Peyton Urban, and then she has to go to the ground and make sure that she didn't extend the ball over the goal line herself.
Right, and keep in mind, she was looking directly toward the west side of the field, meaning Eliana Salama got right to that goal line, snapped off a little left-footed cross, and Peyton Urban is staring right into the sun as she's diving back toward her own goal. Much more difficult play than it probably looked. And really nice job by Peyton Urban.
It's one you got to secure right now as well. You don't have a time to second touch it because there's going to be players right in there on you if you do.
Right, and even if there's not somebody there looking for a rebound, if you drop that ball, it very well could end up in the goal.
That's a great point.
Because of the way she was diving, she had to. We'll talk all the time about goalkeepers not wanting to leave rebounds. That rebound might have been an alley-oop for a dunk.
Urban had a career-high 7 saves in the shutout victory, or excuse me, the shutout tie against Arizona State. Solid athlete with good hands, and that's what Kelly Farrell said is she's clean, and sometimes that's the best thing you can say about a keeper at this level. Eliana Salama attracting 2 and screened away from her by Serenity Thake, who is a super high-energy player for Little Rock that came up with the strip. SMU, however, able to get it back. Thake again in on a play, but Ungashik able to turn it back for Sophie King. So SMU without a couple defenders, starting defenders in this game, including Paxton Bach, who took a knock to the head against Texas. She's missing her 2nd straight game. We told you about Mayu Inakawa, and she's still being evaluated for an injury as well, as Sierra Cotillard just has to punt this one away. And in addition to that, for the SMU Mustangs, they are missing the services, at least in the starting lineup, of Maura Hummel at an outside back position. She may be available to go a little bit later, but they didn't want to start her. So for SMU, you know, part of the reason they wanted to show a different shape in this match was that's something they want to be able to do this season, is be versatile. Part of the reason is by necessity.
And on top of all those players you just mentioned, they're also without Nia Rose, who is playing with the Canadian under 20 national team.
That's a great point.
And all she did was lead the American Athletic Conference in goals last year.
And it's not that you forget about Nia Rose at all, but for SMU, even without her, they've scored 9 goals in their last 2 games, which has been absolutely, 6 goals in their last 2 games, which has been marvelous. Byers trying for a one-touch and slide it out to Eddie, but it was measured well by the Trojans, who have 7 seniors on the roster this season. Kelly Farrell took over. This is her 3rd year. She took over in May of 2022. May is always a tough time for a coach to take over a program, and that meant she was a little bit behind in recruiting and attaining players for her team. So this is the most experience that she's had on a roster so far in her career at Little Rock.
And not only that, you show up in May, it's hard to get any kind of spring workouts in as well.
Yeah.
So when you gather your team in August for preseason camp, that was virtually the first time she had worked with them at all. So in a lot of ways, she was really facing an uphill climb that first year. And she's done a nice job. And once this offense kicks into gear a little bit, I think you'll see a much improved Little Rock team.
Still able to go 5-7-5 that first year. Last year, it was 7-5-8. Yeah, 8 ties. That is a ton. In fact, she has as many ties as any kind of decision over her first 3 years at Little Rock. She is 12, 14, and 14 so far. So her team plays close matches most of the time. Now, they did lose 4-1 last time out against Grand Canyon. However, that was one of the rare times that a Kelly Farrell team got blown away.
That number of ties, though, is also an endorsement of the defensive system in place, because while the offense is still sharpening things up, they're not getting beat, or if they do, they're not getting blown out. They're in these games all the time. So I think that Little Rock is definitely a team that is better than its record may suggest.
So far this season, that's an 0-2-1 mark for the Trojans, who were picked 4th in the OVC coming into the season. And in addition to those 7 seniors, plus the juniors and the sophomores, 6 freshmen on this roster this season, and pretty much all of them have had some sort of impact on the team so far this year. Kind of similar to SMU. Both of these coaches have been quick to go to these freshmen for big, important minutes early in the season.
Every coach obviously recruits incoming freshmen with the idea that they will be able to play and contribute, but some coaches are hesitant, as you said, to go to them early. I think both of these teams have gotten very significant impact in just the first handful of games. I think Kelly Farrell and Nicole Nelson both have to be very pleased with the evaluation their staff did to land on these classes of freshmen.
Little Rock pressing a little bit, trying to create some offense. However, this nice ball up to Byers gets something started for SMU. Eddy trying to slide one toward Nieves, and coming out off her line to scoop it up is Peyton Urban. Urban, who is a Texan out of Austin, went to Lake Travis High School, making her 33rd career start over 3 seasons for the Trojans.
And those watching this game at home will hear some noise in favor of Little Rock coming out of the stands, because, as you mentioned, Peyton Urban is from Austin. There's about a half a dozen Texans on this roster, including, I think it's 3 from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And Kelly Farrell was saying she is hopeful that a lot of friends and family will come out to support those Texan players.
Well, in going from the Sun Belt to the OVC, you know, in many ways it's been an advantage for Little Rock when it comes to the athletic competition, and it's probably been better for the university as a whole. But for some of these players who are from the Texas area, they don't get a chance to come home quite as much, or,
right,
or play close to home quite as much. They don't have those guaranteed matches against Texas or Louisiana foes like they used to.
You see Hartman and Cotillard got their signals crossed a little bit. Hartman wasn't sure if Cotillard was coming all the way out, and suddenly Cotillard had to hit the Jets to come out and clear that ball out.
Trinity Byers chasing this one down, and she will reach it. Byers out of the corner, looking to distribute. She scored in back-to-back games, and here's Eliana Salama, who has scored in 3 straight. Good advancement to the top of the 18. Slots one across in the direction of Brousseau. A half clearance, but Hatta backs it up for SMU. Down to Nieves, turning into the box. Brousseau has a one-touch, and it goes off the crossbar and then in off of Nieves. Good work by SMU to put pressure on the Little Rock back line, and the Mustangs strike first. Sammy Nieves scores her 3rd of the season.
Nice follow-up by Nieves, but that play, certainly Brousseau so close to getting the goal herself. And from the time you start playing soccer as a little kid, coaches will tell you, follow the shot, follow the shot, follow the shot. Sammy Nieves heard those lessons, and that's the easiest goal she may ever have, as she taps it in from about a foot out, dead center in front of the goal. She couldn't have missed that if she tried.
Off that left post, and Peyton Urban narrowly was able to keep it out of the goal and almost sent it over for a corner. And boy, the Trojans wish that would have been the case, because again, this Little Rock team has been having trouble scoring, and even more than that, for the SMU Mustangs, they're a team that has won 20 straight matches when scoring first, like they just did.
Yeah, the Mustangs have had a very solid defense in recent years, and obviously if you have a solid defense and you can spot your team a lead of a goal or 2 or 10, that certainly gives you advantages, because they have had a system in place and the talent to run the system that helps finish off games.
How about this play by Ungashik? She just won't stop. Curls one in, and Nieves on the bouncing ball one-timer pumps it wide of the right goalpost. However, man, Lydia Ungashik, who is known as a defensive midfielder, really was quick to try to make something happen on that play.
I think Lydia Ungashik has a very bright future at SMU. We talk a lot about how Nicole Nelson and the SMU staff greatly appreciate the work that Mackenzie Rudden normally does as a box-to-box midfielder who can really contribute on both ends. And I think Lydia Ungashik will be the same kind of player. She'll be valuable from at least 118 to the other, and probably a little bit beyond in each direction as well.
Yeah, already showing dividends as a freshman, and this is going to be offsides, as Salama had a really good idea, but a nice job by Little Rock to hold their line, and Eddy snuck in behind for the offsides.
Yeah, Little Rock did very well, as you said, holding their line and catching Eddy with that little offside trap, and she was a good 4 yards behind the entire defense. There was no way to dispute that whistle.
But SMU on top 1-0 on the Sammy Nieves goal. Again, her 3rd of the season. Nieves also had 3 goals over 19 matches back in her sophomore year, plus leading the American in assists back in 2022 and having a similar offensive start to this season. A nice ball by Brousseau out to Eddy. Eddy able to churn to the top of the 18. A heavy shot, and it is chunked away by Peyton Urban. We've seen Eddy be able to give it a ride this season, and Urban was tested.
Liz Eddy has a very, very strong shot, and she doesn't have to tee it up like she's, playing on the 18th hole at Augusta. She can hit it on the run and really give it a ride. And you saw, if you needed to see what the power was on that thing, it hit Peyton Urban's hands and went a mile in the air before it floated over that end line. Liz Eddy cranked that shot.
Another corner kick for Brousseau. To the near side of the 6, it gets poked out and into possession for the SMU Mustangs. So after some back and forth action early, and the Mustangs trying to figure out where they could take advantage offensively against Little Rock, SMU has put on some consistent pressure recently. Sammy Nieves got that initial goal, and there have been a couple near-miss opportunities since.
When you have a team that can score, and SMU certainly is that, getting the first goal is sometimes just like pouring the lighter fluid on the grill.
Wow, Salama, another run to the top to Byers, the one-timer, fought off by Sherry Saad. Hata trying to reach it, and she is able to keep the possession for SMU and also keep the pressure on Little Rock. King wants to serve and does so in the direction of Byers. Offsides, though.
Offsides, if she was offsides, it was very close. Yes, she got behind that last defender, but when the ball was played, they looked just about even. And admittedly, we don't have a perfectly parallel view of those plays on either end of the field. That one was awfully close. But you mentioned Byers earlier, and a lot of times when you have a player like Nia Rose who steps out of the lineup, whether it's to go play for a national team or because of an injury or whatever the reason may be, sometimes a team just tries to hold on while the key player is out of the lineup. Byers getting 2 goals in a couple of games, I think does wonders both for her personally and also for the SMU coaching staff, knowing that this is not just putting a warm body in the lineup. This is someone who can find the net.
SMU Sierra Cotillard, the keeper, very comfortable playing the ball with her feet and helping build out of the back. In fact, she wants the ball played back to her. However, a rare giveaway by Ungashik, and it's taken away by Little Rock. Rogan bounces it in, but wide of the goal there. Rogan wanted a foul call against SMU's Brousseau on the play, but it did not come.
It didn't come, but I think she had a pretty legitimate argument as Brousseau kind of ran up her back a little bit, and she was able to keep possession, but it knocked her off balance and limited the effectiveness of her shot.
Great ball for Eddy. Eddy trying to throw it across, and it's eliminated by Peyton Urban once again, who continues to get tested here in Dallas.
And bigger play than it looked like by Urban as well. This will go down in the stat sheet as a cross, not a shot, but if Urban hadn't snatched that ball cleanly off the ground, Eliana Salama was flying in from the backside, and she would have had a slam dunk just as short as Nieves' goal a few moments ago.
SMU has been in the better form so far, but can Little Rock figure out a way to capture a little bit of magic and put one on the board themselves? And you wonder for this Little Rock team, and I'm sure the Trojans are wondering for themselves as well, who are the goals going to come from this season? And they've yet to find that. I'm sure they will at some point this year, but when teams struggle like that early in the season to find their scoring, it just makes it difficult. Here's Salama churning after one. Salama has a chance to dribble, and she's so good at this. Onto her strong foot, plays it across. Eddy on the back post, bounces it wide and over the top.
Eddy got underneath that one. If she had leaned more and gotten more of a sidewinding shot, we very well might be looking at a 2-goal margin.
Now, today, we are going to go ahead and go to a hydration break. The wet bulb number was only at 81 coming in instead of 85, but still, we've been getting hydration breaks early this season, so we're going to go ahead and step away for one here with the SMU Mustangs leading Little Rock in Dallas 1-0.
Style in sports, it's a one.
This is the 5th of 9, so they're right in the middle of their homestand. John Little back alongside Steve Lansdale. SMU facing Little Rock for the first time in 30 years, and it just so happens to be Throwback Thursday as well, so we're throwing it back like it's 1994.
Throwing it way back. This is a long-standing series, and as you said, it had been on a hiatus for a while, but given the regional connection between these two, it makes sense to play.
Series history between these teams. In 1994, hey, the gas price was 62 cents in Texas back in the day. Look at that.
A little different today, huh?
That's incredible. The first meeting since 1994 when SMU won 7-0, and they also lead the all-time series 7-0. And also one of the big notes is this is the most wins SMU has against any opponent without a loss or a tie as well. They're also 7-0 all-time against the Bearcats of Sam Houston. Do you know what the #1 song was back in 1994? Did you look at my note?
I did look at your note, and I have forgotten. I know that during the water break, or the hydration break a moment ago, the PA system was playing something or other by Madonna, but I don't suppose that was it.
No, that wasn't it, as this centering feed is stopped near the side, and then Hartman's able to run back on top of it. Great job by Salama for that one touch, but it's backed up by Caitlin Graber. It is going to make complete sense when I say it. It's I'll Make Love to You by Boys to Men. 30 years ago today was the #1 song. Coming on for the first time for SMU, Emma Alvord plays it outside to Kelly Gordon. Gordon just decides on a shot toward the goal, and Urban has to make another stop.
Another one of the freshmen for the Mustangs that we were talking about a moment ago. Kelly Gordon has been sort of a rotational piece in the front end and the midfield for SMU, for Nicole Nelson, who, as you mentioned, she's gotten 3 or 4 really strong performances, strong performances from 3 or 4 of these freshmen who have stepped in and contributed right away at the beginning of their college careers.
Under 15 to play in the opening half. John Little and Steve Lansdale here with you. And on that back end, a misplay by Maura Umel, and she comes in, is going to pick up a card on the play, as Umel, who had to make that long run after the ball to not let Abby Smith gets there, makes big-time contact.
She did, and the ball was well away, and she sort of cracked into the knee of Abby Smith. It didn't look like she was, trying to do anything too egregious, but the way the contact took place, there's no way that somebody wasn't going to end up on the ground, and Umel earned the yellow.
So Umel is on for SMU. Again, like we said, along with Kelly Gordon and Emma Alvord. With a 1-0 lead for SMU, and here's a free kick opportunity for the Trojans. Trying to see what they can do off the set piece. Ruth Berrigan is on, wearing number 11 at a midfielder spot for Little Rock, a freshman. You see her marked out top. This lilting ball toward the back post is headed out by Hampton, and then Nieves is able to poke it away. Salama chips it over the head of the defender and tries to start a run, and the Salama is right back on it. This could be dangerous, but this ball gets knocked down at midfield, and Hatta runs onto it. Hatta with that pass for Gordon on the right side. Gordon tries to line it up, sees the joining Salama. Eliana Salama chips it in, looking for the head of Sammy Nieves. Poked away to the corner, and Eddie's going to back it up as SMU continues to keep the pressure on. Eddie with the advantage. Her drive, it's a goal for Liz Eddie. Able to take that step to the right to beat McKenna Turner, and then a perfect drive past Peyton Urban. 2-0 SMU.
I wonder how well Peyton Urban even saw that shot, because Liz Eddy was basically shooting right out of the sun. That ball, when it got up and over a defender and started curling toward Peyton Urban, it was basically coming out of the sun, and she might have been completely blinded until, oh no, it's right over my head, and at that point it's too late.
Some players shoot knuckleballs, but there's so much rotation on that ball as well by Eddie, and just great bend, too. You can tell the pace at which Liz Eddy strikes it. That is a 31st minute goal for Liz Eddy, her 3rd of the season.
It means SMU now has 3 players with 3 goals this season, with Eliana Salama, Sammy Nieves, and Eddie. Really nice balanced scoring in the early going for the Mustangs.
And SMU coming in already had 6 players with at least 2 goals, which matched the number of players that had at least 2 goals last season. Sadie Paul is on for the first time in a few games for SMU. Paul trying to post up. She scored against Texas Southern. Hasn't played in the last 2. Nieves runs on to this one to create some pressure. The Mustangs up 2-0. And SMU has Nieves go down to a knee on the play, and she's asking to come out here. And that will give Bella Burr a chance to come on. I'm not exactly sure what happened for Sammy Nieves. Just a slight little limp as she comes to the sideline.
Yeah, she doesn't look like she's in a world of pain, and obviously if you're on the Mustang bench, you hope it's nothing serious. You know, she is a player, however, who missed all of last year, so she will go get some attention right away, and we'll try to keep an eye on it and see what they're looking at.
She almost has to, as we watch her away from the play, has to go up to the trainer to say, yeah, I'm feeling something here.
Something hurts.
She talks to Georgia Tower a little bit and sits at the end of the bench, and it's definitely something we'll be watching for SMU with 13 minutes to go in the first frame, and SMU up 2-0.
She is taking her right shoe off, so I wonder if maybe she got stepped on or something like that. Again, obviously, you hope she's going to be okay because she's such a dynamic player, and she went through enough health-wise last year. She's had more than her share.
No doubt. ACL in the spring of 2023, and so she missed all of the fall. But she has been in great form this season, and 3 goals over her first 5 games. There's an outstanding freshman for Little Rock, Ruth Berrigan, playing a good ball up the middle of the field. And Maria Schuler is on, and as Schuler cuts in, not able to score, but the freshman does create a little chance for Little Rock for one of the initial times.
Yeah, she's a pretty creative player, but she's also got a really nice shot. You saw her give it a ride there from about 25 yards out. It was a little off target, but more than enough range for Schuler.
Number 5 in white, a super late pickup for Little Rock. They got her on July the 29th, and so basically a month ago, she wasn't even on the squad yet as a freshman, but she played just down the road at Little Rock Central and is the only Little Rock player, Little Rock area player on the Trojan roster. And so her good start to her career, which includes the only goal for Little Rock this season, coming in the last game, the loss to GCU. Her success would be huge for this program.
Yeah, and Kelly Farrell was talking about how one of the important components of her program is the way her team carries itself in the community, and having Schuler as someone from Little Rock is important as this team really bonds with the city and starts to expand its fan base a little bit. She wants to have Little Rock talent play for this team.
Hartman searching, sends it middle to Burr, tries to play it out wide, but it's intercepted by the Trojans. Little Rock going into their bench a bit with Emma Beatty. And off the line, Peyton Urban able to bounce it back near midfield where Hampton is playing, or excuse me, Peterson is playing as a holding mid. Here's Eliana Salama, who's gone the whole first half. Chips it out wide. Emma Alvord trying to head it back toward the middle, and on the spin, Peyton Urban takes it in on the leap.
Peyton Urban's looking up at a 2-goal deficit, but she's played pretty well. I think she's made several plays that, even on a couple of crosses, that obviously don't go down as shots and therefore not as saves either. But she has acquitted herself quite nicely for Little Rock.
4 saves officially, and she's faced 11 SMU shots so far. Hata knocked away by Thake, and then as Hata gets knocked down, Thake on the takeover, trying to slot one in the direction of Smith. But a Good technically sound play by Abby Hampton. How much pressure is there now on the senior Abby Hampton, especially with some of the injuries around her, and now, at least in this game, playing as the only center back, to have a really solid season?
I think a lot. I mean, right? She's a senior. She's a veteran, experienced player. She gives the coaching staff a lot of versatility because she can play on the outside or in the center. But as you said, she is now in the middle of what is just a 3-defender line now. And so that means there's more space for offensive players in that third of the field. So Abby Hampton, just like the outside backs beside her on either side, but especially for her in the middle, it is critical. It's not just her technical ability. She's got to be positionally sound. She's got to read what the other team is doing offensively, how they're trying to attack. And fortunately, she is a very, very smart player with a high soccer IQ, and she's able to do a lot of those things.
SMU head coach Nicole Nelson says that Hampton's a great kid, been a hard worker. You know, was a part-time starter as a freshman back in 2021, but played sparingly. Only 2 games each in 22 and 23, and now being called upon in a full-time role as a senior here in Dallas. And speaking of Dallas, Little Rock goes into their bench with a couple players from this area, including number 12, Hannah Schneider. You saw come off the bench. She's from the north side of Dallas, went to Trinity Christian Academy in the Addison area, and also played for 3 of the top club teams in this area, Sting, Solar, and also Texas. Meanwhile, Little Rock also bringing in Jetney Cook, who was an all-district player during her time at Grand Prairie High School, just about 20 minutes to our west. SMU already leading by the 2-0 score and looking for more near the end of the first half. Alvord plays one right back up the wall. Good ball for Kelly Gordon. Reaches it in the corner. Gordon slots it back, looking for Salama. Salama against the freshman Cook. Looking to beat Cook along the end line, and Cook plays it really well.
She really did. Eliana Salama sort of tried to change directions and tried to cross her up a little bit to get around her by the end line. And Cook did a very nice job. Once the ball was a step out in front of Salama, she stepped in between Salama and the ball and just ushered it out of bounds because Salama was the last one to touch it, hence the goal kick for Peyton Urban.
Jetney Cook, just a really feisty defender from that outside back position. She'll go up against Alvord now. Alvord right at the corner of the 18, and then Cook leans in and knows when to press forward and try to snipe it. And this is going to be a throw-in for Little Rock. So back-to-back great plays for the freshman from Grand Prairie.
And pinching up tight on Alvord is a good way to go about it, because if you get in a track meet with her, for most defenders, that is not going to end well because Alvord can actually absolutely fly. The problem is if you pinch up there really tight and try to take the ball away and miss, then Alvord is off to the races.
Good job by Burr to shoulder up, take it away, get it to Kelly Gordon. Gordon tries to slot one middle. Eliana Salama plays one into the box. Salama, the left-footed shot. Salama just up top, looking for goals in 4 straight games. It was not tipped by Peyton Urban, and Eliana Salama, as fast as lightning, can really make an impact on a game in a blur.
She really can, and we talk about her speed, but to me, what really separates her, literally, is her acceleration. She can start and stop so quickly and be going full speed in just a couple of steps. You know, I don't know that she would win a track meet against Alvord or maybe Sammy Nieves or some of the others who can really run. She's plenty fast, but that acceleration and that start and stop ability is really, really rare, and that allows her lots and lots of chances to create separation.
Here's the Alvord, the track star. Cook knocks it down immediately, but Alvord plays one into the box. Kelly Gordon's header is well wide. SMU with 12 shots so far toward goals. 6 have been on. And, of course, the 2 goals so far. SMU out-shooting Little Rock 12-2. And SMU also one of the leading shooting teams in the nation coming in as it has been an offensive onslaught early this season for these Mustangs. They've gotten a lot of shots toward the goal, and obviously you see their second in total goals coming in, and their 3.5 goals per game is 12th nationally.
Yeah, the chances are there. They are pulling the trigger from all over the field, and as they start being more efficient and taking higher quality shots, obviously you're hoping that those goal totals will increase, and they'll need to as they start getting into ACC games.
Kelly Gordon looking out wide, lots of room for Burr. Burr tries to cut it across and has it stripped away by Little Rock. A good play to get it out of trouble, at least for now, by the Trojans. That was Kate Benny, the senior from San Antonio, that made the play. Meanwhile, there's going to be a stoppage here, and Brad Church is going to call a couple of the players to him. On the SMU side, Haley Hartman, and on the Little Rock side, it's Maria Schuler.
Yeah, the two of them got tangled up a little bit, and there was a little bumping, and I don't know if you want to call it even flat out shoving, but there was bumping, and then there was some talk afterward, and Brad Church wanting to just diffuse that situation, let them know, and a nice job by him, again, trying to control the situation without going to the cards if he doesn't have to.
Turner's free kick. Nice line drive into the wind, but Hartman puts the solid header on it. Right back at her comes Thake. Thake has it in her feet, and a shot does get triggered by Little Rock. Low and left for Emma Beatty, but easily corralled by Sierra Cotillard.
If you're Cotillard, if you can arrange for every shot to come in from 30 yards out, you'll be thrilled, because she had plenty of time, and she only needed to take a couple of steps to her right to swallow that one up.
SMU with another advancement. Kelly Gordon has options, but just runs it right into the feet of Cook to eliminate a chance. About 3.5 to play in the first half. Eliana Salama get a chance to run onto the ball. Salama with a couple shots, no goals yet. Salama tries to dump it left, but Sadie Paul wasn't there yet, arriving a little bit later than Salama was hoping. But Salama's done a great job of changing pace this season, and her pace of play has been outstanding, says Nicole Nelson. A big reason why she's led the team in goals and points so far this year.
She does. She's playing at a higher pace. It's one thing to be able to run fast against a stopwatch, but she is playing fast. She's bringing her offensive teammates into the mix. And so once she scores a goal or two, or now 3 this year, that draws enough offensive attention that if she plays at pace and her teammates arrive at the same speed, she should be able to find teammates open for chances of their own.
Anna Schneider trying to run that one down at midfield. It will be a throw-in for SMU. Nanami Hata, and her first year out of Iowa Western, has gone all 43 in this first half, along with a few other SMU Mustangs. SMU has been able to go to their bench a little bit in this one. So key is they've got several of their best players limited due to injury right now, and they want to keep them out of any more injury trouble. Hata looking to turn on one at midfield. Hata with that left-footed ball, distributing and finding Salama. Salama more playing a central midfield spot right now almost. Walks it back. Shows how versatile she is. Long ball for Sadie Paul, who has to hold up for a moment. And Peyton Urban easily scrambles to it.
She is versatile, and she also has the advantage of being able to run for days. I don't think she ever gets tired, so especially when you have sort of depleted ranks like you've described, a couple of people out with a knock here and there, if you can have someone like Eliana Salama who can play 90 minutes, but also not just play, but dominate the ball and control possession through that midfield, that's an enormous boost for Nicole Nelson and her staff as they try to mix and match and get through some of these games until they have their full reserve of players back.
Salama, one of 4 SMU players to go the whole way in the first half. Under a minute left to play in the first half. It's been a goal, 2 goals by SMU to go out in front. And now Salama gets another chance to run onto one. However, it was offsides, as when that ball was played in towards Salama, she was behind that final line and McKenna Turner. The initial goal for SMU, Sammy Nieves, and then a blast by Liz Eddy to make it 2-0.
Very delayed flag, but nonetheless, that's the opinion that matters here. And Little Rock coming the other way.
Final 10 seconds of the first half. The SMU Mustangs playing a quality first 45 and dominating so far against Little Rock, looking to go 8-0 all time against the Trojans. It is 2-0 at the break for Nicole Nelson. Nelson's talked about line for Little Rock and trying to figure out a way to get past this SMU back line. John Little alongside Steve Lansdale. We are ready to go in the second half. The wind advantage in the second half favors the Trojans as it blows from right to left across your screen, and that shadow will fully be cast across the field by the end of this half. Lou Brousseau starts the second half for SMU, but has it taken away by Megan Rogan. Rogan trying to get wide and looking to distribute. And before Ungashik can poke at it, she feeds it out to Kildare, who's watched by Nieves. Hartman is able to cut off and take it away from Abby Smith.
Notable in the lineup, Tori Peterson is starting in place of Nanami Hata. But if I'm Nicole Nelson, to me the most encouraging thing is that Sammy Nieves is back on the field. She asked out of the lineup with a few minutes left in the first half, and we weren't quite sure what was ailing her. As you said, when she came out of the game, she had a very, very slight limp, and they were looking at her right foot. Or
Dallas against a team that can make you pay. And for Little Rock, Jada Centeno, some fresh legs at a forward spot coming in, and Candace Kildare will come on at an outside back position as well. She may end up playing more of a midfield spot at this point in the game. And you said that they might go 3 across the back. I think that's exactly what Little Rock has just done. Meanwhile, SMU brings Eliana Salama back into the match.
I think so. Kildare has been playing further back, and right now she's up at basically up at a striker position. So it is all hands on deck for the Trojans with 13 minutes left, trying to find a couple of goals to get back into this.
Definitely an offensive-minded substitution for an offensive-minded coach in Kelly Farrell, who was a star at Loyola in Maryland, a 4-time all-conference performer, an attacking player. Yeah. It's an attacking player for the Greyhounds back in the day. It says that she's come to really appreciate the benefits of being a great defensive team as well.
Sure, and you made the comment earlier that if you don't score, you can't win. There's a flip side to that as well. If you don't give up any goals, you can't lose.
Yeah.
And so it probably didn't take long at all for her to embrace the logic behind building a very strong defense for this Little Rock team.
She's thought of to be a rising coaching star. SMU has some numbers. Alvord ripping in on the right side, crossing it in front, and Peyton Urban is there once again. And it was pretty good defense as well, I think, by Jetney Cook to cut off the angle and only give Alvord one chance, and that was to shoot the ball. She really didn't have a passing lane.
Right, I thought it was a very nice play by Jetney Cook, but she not only stayed step for step with Alvord, which is no small task, but did so and was able to lean her body into Alvord just a tiny bit so that Alvord's momentum was really being carried away from the goal at an awkward angle. So yes, she got a shot away from 20 yards or whatever it was, but she didn't have a whole lot on it, and Peyton Urban was able to scoop that up cleanly.
Alvord has really improved technically in the offseason, but still the wheels are the best part of her game, there's no doubt. Cotillard. She's been trying to make these passes to the edge all night. This time she's able to hit King, but King has to foul in order to not let that ball really go any further. And the Trojans will have an opportunity with it. A restart from about 50 yards out. Little Rock looking for something to go their way. Good serve into the box, but Cotillard measures it well.
And Cotillard again thought about a very quick release. She saw Eliana Salama, but she saw about 3 white jerseys surrounding number 9 and thought better of it, and then played the more conservative pass, handing it out to the side.
Salama, a great ball. It's going to get Nieves on. Nieves chips it across, but behind Gordon. Gordon racing back after it, and McKenna Turner wins that race. King will restart the offense for SMU, playing 11 on 10 here, but Serenity Thake with the theft. Thake trying to start the advance. Kildare out to her right, one-on-one with Hartman. Kildare, a good one-on-one player. Out front, Thake back to Kildare again. Kildare, the centering feed. Hampton ushers it out. Thake is right back on it, though. Kildare looking at it. And on the chip, it is tipped by SMU. I believe this is going to be a corner, and yes, it is. I don't think Maura Yumo realized
exactly
that was going to be a corner.
Yeah, that ball went off of Haley Hartman and floated up in the air for a minute, and it was going so slowly. I'm guessing that Yumo thought maybe, the shot just didn't have anything on it, and she basically mishit it, because she certainly was downshifting as she was letting the ball go out of bounds, as if she thought she had a goal kick coming up.
Line drive corner kick, and it is cleared off that back post by King.
Nice job by King to stay home and play her role inside that goal post, effectively narrowing the goal for Sierra Cotillard.
10 minutes left in Dallas. SMU trying to go to 4-1 on the young season. Up next for SMU, the tests get a little bit tougher. This is the last non-P4 team that SMU plays this season. It'll be TCU in the non-con, Baylor in the non-con, and then jumping in to ACC play with Syracuse on September the 12th.
SMU's migration to the Atlantic Coast Conference has been the biggest story on campus, athletic story on campus in the last couple of years. And now that it is finally here, the excitement is everywhere on campus, among students, among staff, among coaches, everybody, among donors. But what it also means is that in pretty much every sport, and a list that definitely includes women's soccer, the level of competition is about to skyrocket in a couple of weeks.
Salama dribbling in, leaves it for Alvord. Alvord angling back to the middle, skims it on the ground in the direction of Gordon, or rather Ungashik. Cleared out to center, and Ungashik gets it started again. It was Gordon in the box, my apologies. King serves it in, low in the direction of Salama, and played away with 8.5 minutes left.
If I'm Nicole Nelson, I'm most interested in seeing my team string together as many consecutive passes as possible. Make the ball do the work. Make the Trojans chase. There's no reason to force anything right now. You've got a comfortable 2-goal lead with 8 minutes left. Is that out of reach? No, absolutely not. You can't quit playing. But if there's a white jersey within miles, I would say regroup, circle back, and rebuild and start again.
Wow, King served it in, and this is going to end up being a corner. That was coming in right at the top of the bar, and Urban felt she had to play it.
I'm wondering if King viewed this as a shot. I kind of doubt it, because you see Emma Alvord and then another blue shirt camped out in front of the cage. I think King was looking for a serve to try to get an assist in there that one of her teammates could run onto.
Rousseau plays it on the ground to Salama, left to create one-on-one. And Salama, she wants that end line. Salama Nearly has it taken away, but she's right back on it. Not afraid to do the work. Turns the corner. Salama trying to slot it in, and it's intercepted by Graber. Throw in for SMU.
It's one thing to be creative and to try to cross up a defender to get a chance into the box, but Salama tried that, was turned away, and then recovered so quickly, kept her position, kept her balance, and took the ball right back. And I think that's one of her skills that's really strong and very underappreciated.
Rousseau fouled by Kildare. You saw that little pullback, so SMU has a free kick with under 7 minutes left to play. And a quick start out to Alvord. Alvord against Cook, and Alvord going after the goal and punching it high. As SMU continues to enjoy this 2-goal lead, and frankly, they are hunting a third.
They are trying to stretch it, and you know, kudos for trying to keep playing, right? I haven't been suggesting that you just sit back and play catch on the defensive end and set up a team picture in front of Sierra Cotillard. But they've been aggressive. 2 is not enough for this team. As you've said several times tonight, the Mustangs have scored at least 3 in every game this year and clearly want to continue that streak.
Out wide for Gordon. Play is clean. Gordon chipping it across in Alvord's direction. It's headed out, however. Backing up, Maura Hummel does a nice job to touch it in the direction of Alvord. However, the Trojans able to take it away. But this is a proud Little Rock bunch and a team that has been built on defense. Gave up 4 goals last time out, but they don't feel like that's their pedigree for sure.
No, as you said, Kelly Farrell has built a nice defense. They had the draw against Arizona State. They've been very stingy on the defensive end outside of that Grand Canyon game, and that is something they, as you said, they take a lot of pride in, and that's going to be one of their hallmarks this season.
Down to 10 players because of the red card. SMU has controlled play since then. Before that, in the second half, Little Rock had certainly had their moments. Mainly shots from distance that Sierra Cotillard had been equal to. However, it was certainly trending in Little Rock's direction. A centering feed is deflected. It appeared and over the end line, but they'll go ahead and give SMU a goal kick. With under 5 minutes left to play after that test by Schneider. Up next for the Little Rock Trojans, by the way, they have been road warriors, playing 4 road games to start the season, but they will come back home. And on Sunday, they will take on Louisiana Monroe, ULM, for their first home game. And for this team, 5 of the next 6 are at home. A chance for Little Rock to get right before OVC play, which starts at home on the 22nd of September against Tennessee Tech.
And that's been another just difference as well. Little Rock has been on the road since the start of the season. SMU has been at home, playing on its own field, in front of its own fans, sleeping in their own beds. That certainly helps as well.
Salama going vertical. Looked like Alvord might have been offside, but no. Alvord trying to center it in, and Graber lets her defense reset on the corner kick.
I wonder if Emma Alvord was afraid of that flag coming up, because it looked like when the ball was played, it looked like she was almost, you know, counting for a couple of seconds and pausing, just making sure that she was not viewed as having started it in an offside position.
Quick restart on the corner, and it's headed out. And Centeno trying to make a run, but again, down to 10 players. SMU can put a lot of numbers back even after the corner. 3 minutes left. Gordon now runs it into the corner, knowing with 3 minutes left and a 2-goal lead, her team's in a great spot. And Gordon, who would normally be hunting across here, is trying to work back toward the middle. Now onto her left foot. Gordon slots it in. Ungashik gives it back, and this drive is off the crossbar and down.
To her stomach that this didn't go in. It not only hit the bar, I think it hit the bottom side of the bar. You saw it redirect very quickly straight down. She was inches away from getting a third goal on the board.
Rousseau slots one on the ground. And another stop for Peyton Irvin, save number 8. Here's Albort's chance.
The nice drop
Oh,
pass.
that was a goal. That was a goal.
Did it
Guys,
come down across the line?
Let's look at it one more time, guys. I mean, unless my eyes were deceiving me, let's see it one more time. And so we're going to see it right here.
Here's the shot, comes straight down from the bar. Oh, you're right.
Well, that one on the long shot, it looked like it was in. On that one, it looked like it was right on the line, which would have not been in. So, very, very close.
Yeah, nobody on the SMU team was jumping out of their shoes to object, but I'm not sure they had a whole lot better view than we did.
Great job by our ACC network crew to slow that one down, zoom it on in. Just outstanding look. As King takes it to the corner with a minute left. And it would have been a really odd, set of English on that ball to come off the underside of the bar, bounce across the goal line, and then pop out.
Yeah, but on a dry field, that is possible. I mean, if it were a wet field, it would have hit the ball, hit inside the goal, and there would have been some skidding on the ball, and it would have stayed in, probably. But you're right; it would have taken an extraordinary spin to kick it back out.
Corner kick for SMU with 20 seconds left. As much as she can. So the SMU Mustangs strike a couple times in the first half. Little Rock nips back, but then down to 10, unable to mount their comeback. And SMU comes up with their third clean sheet of the season, a 2-0 win, and the Mustangs have started 4-1 in 2024.
Not the flashiest win in the world, but it was what was needed. It was methodical, it was efficient. The Ponies got a 2-goal lead in the first half, played solid defense, didn't really give up a lot of chances. The shots they did give up were from distance, and obviously Sierra Cotillard was up to the task on all of those. And as we said, look, the Mustangs were missing a few key players who they're hoping to get back maybe as soon as Sunday, and did what they had to do to come out with the result.
2-0, the SMU Mustangs topple Little Rock, and now it is all Power 4 programs from here on out. SMU's next up, taking on TCU at home on Sunday night, while Little Rock goes home for the first time this year to face ULM on Sunday.